Hey, Nate Madsen back with another vlog. It's been a while, but I wanted to do a quick one on pricing. How much should you charge for your work? Coming up next on Madsen Musings. Okay, so let's talk about money. Let's talk about how much to charge. There's a couple things that go into this equation, and some of it is pretty easy to figure out, and some of it is very subjective. It's very personalized to your unique situation and to how you feel about things. So let's dig through the easy stuff first. So the first thing to think about is how much does it cost to run your studio day to day? We're talking about utilities, electricity, heating, cooling, your internet provider. How much do they charge you? And then talking about gear. Do you have all the gear you need to do the job? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you have a job coming up that you need to get some new gear for. And so how are you going to account for that? One of the ways that I do that is I usually have a upfront deposit. This deposit serves two things. One, it shows the client I'm serious and that I value my time and my efforts. It's also a good faith because especially if this is a new client, perhaps it's a company I've not heard of before, this shows that they are putting their money where their mouth is. It's not going to be one of those things where I do the whole job and then hope that they end up paying me after the fact. No, I want a certain percentage up front to say, we are doing business together. This is a signed, sealed, delivered contract, and it's backed with some money. They have some skin in the game. I have some skin in the game. But the other thing that that deposit does is it allows me to go out and purchase anything that's unique that might be needed for this project. Let's say I need some unique VSTs or some source sound that I don't already have in my studio. Well, if I have that deposit, that goes towards that, covers that upfront cost, and allows me to begin work and move forward with the project. So that first part's pretty easy. You just get out your budget and you figure out, well, how much do I have to pay in rent? Whether your studio is in your house or whether it's a building that you're renting from someone else, figure out how much it costs to run that month to month. And then figure out a fee that allows you to come out a little bit ahead of that figure so you can be saving and investing in yourself and also covering all of your bills. And if you have an outside month, let's say you have really, really hot summers, maybe you need to account for buffering up that cooling cost during the summer months, but during the winter months, maybe you have a very mild winter where you live, so your heating costs are not very high. I would average it all out, so month to month you are covered, and you're going to be okay from the utilities and just the simple maintenance. And also, I haven't talked about food. Are you feeding yourself? I hope you are. Are you clothing yourself? Do you have people in your family that you're supporting? Maybe they're kids, maybe it's a spouse that's not working, or maybe part of your income is going towards everything and their income is as well. Well, you have to figure all that stuff out. So the math has to work. That's the simple subjective part of it. I'm not saying it's just one number. It might be a huge budget that you have to figure out, but you can come to that pretty simply. But the other thing is more subjective. It's about how you feel. It's your heart. It's your mind. I always say to people I mentor, if you can't proudly say, hey, this new project I landed, it's paying me X amount to a trusted loved one, maybe it's a parent, a sibling, a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. If you can't say that with pride that, hey, I'm getting paid this much to do this project, I'm super excited about it. If instead it's a situation where you're like, hey, I got this new project, and they ask, well, how much are they paying you? And you don't want to say, that's a sign that you're not proud of the rate that you're getting paid. And believe it or not, that can hurt morale in the long term. And you don't want that. You don't want to be aware of selling yourself short because it has long-term and short-term ramifications. So I would avoid that at all costs. So this is the part that's hard to figure out. This is the part that you have to do some soul searching, and also it takes some time just to nail down what that figure is and also what the market will support. Brian Regan is a comedian that has this bit that's pretty funny about refrigerators. And he talks about this refrigerator will cool your food for $500. This refrigerator will cool your food for $1,500. And that refrigerator will cool your food for $5,000. And it's a funny bit because basically, as we all know, refrigerators all basically do the same thing. It's just like TVs too. Yeah, they have certain bells and whistles. there's a brand behind it that you're also paying for. There might be some extra warranties and stuff like that. But basically, refrigerators, model to model, are all kind of the same thing. So I like to use that analogy when you're pricing your services, be it composition, sound design, whatever you're doing. You could be, mowing lawns, but I like to use the refrigerator example. And what I mean by this is simply, if I gave you 3 refrigerators, one that's $500, it's Bob's refrigerator. And let's say the middle one is $1,500, it's a Whirlpool refrigerator. And then the top of the line one is a $7,000 refrigerator, Frigidaire or whatever, another brand that's well known. And it has like a built-in TV where you can watch Everyone Loves Raymond while you're getting your orange juice. And it has all the bells and whistles on it, right? So which one would probably 85 to 90% of the population pick? The answer is the $1,500 Whirlpool in the middle. Now the reasons why I don't pick the other two, the cheapest one and the most expensive one, are unique and they vary. So the cheapest one, Bob's refrigerator, it's not a known brand, so you don't know if it's going to last for a week or for a couple of years. You don't know what the customer service is like. It's one of those things where it's just a big unknown. And the price point is a bit too good to be true. And most people are willing to pay a little bit more for something they think, they hope, they trust will last for a while. Now, the reason why most people don't pick the $7,000 refrigerator is because it's out of the norm for most people's budgets. Most people don't have $7,000 to spend on a refrigerator. If you do, great, more power to you. I certainly don't, and a lot of people I know don't. They would rather put that money, towards something else and pick a more reasonably priced refrigerator. So think about that. It's not always the case where you being the cheapest option is going to get you more work. Think about your own shopping experience. You probably want something that's quality. You're not going to be like, I'm going to go find the $50 TV as opposed to the $500 TV. I don't want to find the $50 composer. I want to find the $500 composer or whatever. I'm just picking these numbers to make an example, to make a point, but it's not always about being the cheapest. So Charles Deenan was the studio audio director at EA Black Box up in Canada and now runs Source Sound in LA. And he has been an audio director, worked a lot on the Need for Speed series. And at the Austin GDC conference way back when, this is like 2009, 2008, I think, he said one time that he would be willing to pay 10, 20, 30, 40 grand more for a composer that he knew would nail the job. He said because the cheaper one is an unknown and I might have to hold their hand a bit more. It might take them more revisions to get to the mark that I need and that my bosses need me to get. And it also may take more time away from me and I have my own things I have to handle. So instead, it's worth it to me and to the companies I work for, the brands I work for and represent, to pay that extra money and know the job will be done right. Really consider that. You want to be that type of composer where you can demand a premium and people recognize the value behind that. I recently redid my studio and I spent a decent amount of cash on gear that has a lot of trust, a lot of great customer support, a lot of great reviews, and a lot of name recognition because I knew that if something went wrong, this brand would be there to help me get through it and make it right. And also, because I want this gear to last 10, 15 years. My previous studio gear lasts, when I say gear, I'm talking about the monitors I was using, the interface, and the computer. Last me, the speakers that I was using are still working just fine. I just upgraded to a better pair. But those are 20-year-old speakers. They work great. So that's definitely a good brand. And then the computer is still working, but it was starting to really show its age, and that computer lasts me 10 years. And we're talking like 10 years of putting it through some major paces. And the interface, unfortunately, eventually did poop out on me, but I got 10 years out of that thing too. So when you're trying to make a client want to invest in you, think about you want to convey, maybe you don't have brand recognition. Maybe you're brand new to the industry. So what are some other ways that you can get a client to trust you? Well, have a really high bar of quality. And then offer some guarantees. Offer, I will be here. I will be at your beck and call for this, this, this. And I'm not saying you have to like bend over backwards and live without any personal life for this client. I'm not saying that. Maybe say during these work hours of Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 or whatever it is, I'm here. I'll answer phone calls, I'll answer emails, I'll be on IM. Show that you're very, very accessible and that you are going to respond to their beck and call. I've heard of another composer doing a very interesting approach to this. They're a little bit newer into the industry, and what they've done is they say, I will write one track of music for free just so you can get an evaluation of me, because I really want to be a part of your brand and I'm excited about it. And so give me some ideas and I'll get you a track in 24 hours. And this person busts it out super fast and they get their track. Maybe it's 60 seconds long, maybe it's a minute and a half, and they try and make it as awesome as possible to wow the client for free. And then from there, if they want future work, they say, okay, great, let's work out a contract. I personally don't do that, but I think it's an interesting approach because you're showing through your initiative and through your drive and through a very quick turnaround that you're really engaged and you really, really want this. And so you're not going to flake on them. You're going to be very responsive and you're going to do a good job. It's an interesting idea and it seems to be working out for my contact here. Maybe it could work out for you. I don't know. I personally try to stay away from the working for free and say, I'll check out my demo, I'll do a little bit of a spec work for you, but I'm not going to invest a lot of time for free because I've seen too many times that's backfired. But it's an interesting idea. I'm getting a little bit in the weeds here, but just think about that. When you're pricing your stuff, it's not always about being the most affordable, being the cheapest. You know, if you're out buying a car, you don't want to buy a $500 car because it might break down two minutes after you drive it off the lot. Instead, you want to get something that's quality. So think about how you're portraying quality. Think about how you are pricing yourself to say you respect your time, your craft, and your worth. And then really look for ways to engage the client and say, I will be here through the thick and thin. I will see this to fruition, all the way to the finish line. And if you're not happy, I'm not happy. It sounds cliche, but just think about all those buying experiences, the good ones and the bad ones you've had with different vendors. If you've gone to a big label vendor that sells electronics and maybe it's like one of those things where you had a bad experience, remember what it was that made you have a bad experience there and how you didn't want to go back to it. And the inverse, think about some of the really good experiences you've had where you're like, wow, that was amazing. I love shopping there. In fact, I want to vlog about this to other people and I want to give them repeat business. And then see how you can work that into what you offer people you work with. I think you might find it makes a difference and will help. And I wish you the very best of luck in that. So if you have some approaches that have really worked for you, tell us. Let us know. I'm curious to see what has worked well for you. And yeah, that's about it. I'll try and get to another vlog pretty soon, but life has been very good, but very busy and kind of chaotic. I hope you're staying safe, sane, and healthy during COVID-19. I really hope that we get past the season and that the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train, but instead glorious freedom where I can go out to a restaurant and have a margarita again, because I miss margaritas. All right, have a happy Friday. If you like what I'm doing here, please hit like, subscribe so you can see new videos, comment throughout your questions, throughout your ideas, and I will see y'all in the next vlog. Take care.